Hey everybody, I'm Jill Redfern and welcome to Third Shift Movement Shop, home of literal technique. In this tutorial, I'm going to talk to you about the technique fundamentals for movement of the arms. What I'm going to do is take the anatomy of the arm bones, which in literal technique are the shoulder bones and the shoulder girdle, and I'm going to distill that anatomy into something very simple for us to think about when we do port de bras. So what is going to happen is when the smoke clears, you're going to see that what we're really talking about is the collarbones. So let me tell you what I mean. Remember, the shoulder bones are the collarbone, the scapula, and the humerus. The humerus and the scapula form the shoulder joint. The collarbone is the only bone the scapula attaches to in the entire body. The shoulder girdle is the collarbone, the scapula, and the manubrium, which is an aspect of the sternum, which is an aspect of the ribcage barrel, which derives its alignment directly from the 33 vertebrae, the thoracic vertebrae. The shoulder bones and the shoulder girdle overlap. You can see what they have in common are the scapula and the collarbones. The shoulder girdle has three joints. A joint here called the sternoclavicular joint, the SC joint, a joint here called the acromioclavicular joint, called the AC joint, and a joint that's not really a joint back here, which is the scapulothoracic joint, the ST joint, which is the articulation of the shoulder blade on the ribs. They're not connected bone to bone. They slide by way of muscle and connective tissue on top of the ribcage barrel. The SC and the AC joints move the ST joint. If the scapula are moving, it's because these two joints are moving. Notice what these two joints have in common is the word clavicular, which is the collarbone. The collarbone moves because it has a joint on either side. The collarbone is the only bone the scapula is connected to in the body. If the collarbone moves, the scapula moves. The humerus is inside the socket. It forms the shoulder joint with the scapula. If the scapula moves, the humerus moves. So you can see what we've got here, this chain. The collarbone moves, which moves this, which moves this. Right? So that means to me, my focus when the smoke clears and I'm doing port de bras in class needs to be the collarbone and the way in which it may or may not be moving the scapula. So if you're here, right, that lifting, what we call you're lifting the shoulders, that's movement of the collarbone, which moves the scapula. That is movement of the collarbone by way of these two joints, which moves the scapula. So rather than making a correction to the arm alignment in port de bras, rather than making a correction to the scapula, what we need to be doing is we need to be looking at what is the collarbone doing, because we've got a 360-degree connection here. These bones are all connected. If one moves, the other moves. If the other moves, the other moves. So while we've got a humerus that can move in the shoulder joint quite freely, if the collarbone is taking the scapula out of alignment, the humerus is coming along, and that'll throw off alignment generally in this shoulder girdle. So a couple of things. What that means is alignment of the collarbone will impact the alignment of the shoulder blades of the scapula. Alignment of the collarbone is directly connected to the alignment of the 33 vertebrae because the collarbone is connected to the sternum, which is an aspect of the rib cage barrel. So I want to think about two things. I want to think about movement of the collarbone and what it's doing to my scapula, and I want to think about how the collarbone is stable. Are the vertebrae stable? Are the vertebrae in their anatomical curves? So there's our ball of collarbone scapula alignment during port de bras connected to the 33 vertebrae. So in your class this week, when you do port de bras, any kind of port de bras, first, where are your vertebrae? Second, where are your collarbones? Third, where, if your collarbones are askew, that's going to affect your scapula. Notice that. Notice that relationship. Notice that alignment and stability. Take that through class with you this week and see what happens. Okay, I'll see you next week.